I lived my whole life in a caravan. I travelled the roadside my whole life till 2000 and into 2002. And when we moved to Dale Farm, because I had a child with special needs and he needed special school.
There are about 1,000 travellers here, half of whom, as you see at the back here, are facing eviction, and the other half of their relatives who were lucky some years ago to get permission to live on their own land.
I moved here to Dale Farm in 2002. We bought our own land and we put in for planning permission, thinking that we would be left here for the rest of our life with all my family. They moved on as well and bought their own plots.
The travelling way of life has been very, very hard in the UK in the last 10 or 15 years, because after the Criminal Justice Act, any place you pulled in, the police had special powers to move you. But the government said, OK, it's time you people bought your own land. So Dale Farm families, who are mostly the Sheridans, purchased this land here, which most of it was an old scrapyard, and thought they had a fair chance of getting planning permission.
It was lovely for the children to go to school, for us to see doctors, and for to have a postal address. And we've been fighting ever since for to be left stay on our own ground, but Basildon Council don't seem to see it this way. They keep saying it's the green belt.
There was a certain kind of a car put off of the road back in the 60s. I can't remember what it was, between the 60s and the 70s. And the council used this as a storage compound. There was concrete laid in this ground in 1969. It was concreted. So it hasn't been a green field. It was here before me. We cleaned up, alright, lots and lots of grease and dirt off of the ground and put down homes for our children. That's all we done.
The council is offering no alternative at all. We tried ourselves to get planning permission a few miles away at a place called Pitsea, which was recommended by the Deputy Prime Minister at the time, John Prescott. But again, we were refused, we were turned down, we couldn't even provide an alternative for ourselves. So
it's just a nightmare. You keep frightening, thinking, well, where am I going to go? This is a chalet and you can split it in two, but what good is it if I've nowhere to put it? Where am I supposed to go?
Here we are really with our backs against the wall, but determined to make a fight of it. About 150 people here are put in as homeless for housing, but of course really we don't want housing, we want the land.
It'd be like putting me into a bird cage as putting me into a house. That's what it would feel like to me anyway, because it's something you've never done in your life, and it's going to be very, very hard for anyone on Dale Farm, that goes for everybody here, for to actually go in and do that. All we're asking the council for is somewhere alternative, a pitch like we're on now, that we can pull our caravan and live together as a community and as a family as well as everything else. Just so everyone can carry on living the way we're living now.
Basildon Council has put aside £2 million for this eviction and has hired a very brutal bailiff company called Constant & Co., who have done evictions all over this country. Thousands of families have been moved on by Constant & Co. We have a great big dossier of complaints against that company. For instance, they shouldn't come up this road with heavy machinery, with bulldozers, and crash into Dale Farm, which would be a demolition site. Well, there are still children here. It's dangerous for the children. It's against the law, but they have done it in the past.
And I've heard the owner of Constant is something to do, I can't exactly say what, with the BNP, the National Party. Yeah. He's been he's been seen in their meetings.
We hope this time, if there is an attempt to move us, that they will have to obey the law, and that will make it much more difficult for them, and hopefully we might stop the eviction.
The children needs to know their culture and what they're from. You can't take your culture away from you, no matter what ethnic group you belong to. That can't be took away from them, can it? It's got to be in the community forever.
We hope if we can win this battle, which we believe we can, it will maybe at least begin to turn the tide against the racism across Europe, against Roma people and travellers and gypsies.
Thank you.